All right, guys, how are you? The day is Wednesday. Think about that for a second. Okay, so obviously you're probably aware by now that Facebook and the whole world as we know it is just falling to pieces because we've had some technical issues with Facebook. So we wanted to get this video out to you. So we're doing a little recording. And I want you to feel free to, as you listen to this or at the end of it, if you have questions regarding this information, you can type down at the comment section below, and both of us will be more than happy to address those. And if they are bigger questions than we can just answer in a comment section, hey, that's even better, because then that tells us what you guys need to hear about and what other videos can be made. So today, as I mentioned yesterday, we're going to be talking about soy. And this is not like, this is not a video where we want to like destroy and pick on soy. But we do want to share with you things to take into consideration when you are making certain choices. I believe, and Arielle, I think you're the same way. Like we don't want you to feel like, you know, you do this and you don't do, like we want you to be empowered to make your best decisions. And to me, the best decisions can be made with all the information that is pertinent to you. If you are going to decide to consume soy after this, I don't think any less than you, but I want to make sure that you are empowered to know exactly what might be happening in your body, so that you don't go forward however much longer and think, oh, I wish I had known, right? So we're going to be sharing just some of the things to take into consideration. And the great thing here is that you have, you know, a lot of personal experience in this topic. Oh, I saw somebody pike. So that's good too, because guys, I know sometimes you probably are just sick of hearing me yell at you. So I wanted to have somebody else to yell at you, because sharing is caring, right? So, all right, where shall we begin?
Soy.
Soy, oi, 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 oi.
Where to begin? So let's talk about soy. Everybody talks about soy as being this ultra health food, I think, right? We think of like, oh, if you want to be thin and lose weight and eat like a monk, make sure to eat tofu all the time, right? It's true.
Make sure you have monk, you must sprinkle it with monk fruit sweetener.
No, oh, that would be gross. No, so when I remember this long time ago when I first stepped away from just eating like packaged food and fast food, I was trying to eat healthy, and it was all about, oh, I should add tofu to my diet because it will, you know, it's very healthy. It will lower my cholesterol, all of these health claims. So what's interesting is that soy traditionally in Japan was used in the monk lifestyle for a specific reason. And the reason was that they wanted to lower the sex drive of the religious people during, because it would alter the meditative state. If they were sitting there meditating and then they started to get horny, then it was a problem. So
we should give soy to our teenagers.
That's actually not a bad idea. Yeah, or, you know, depending on who you're married to, just slip it into dinner. But no, so this was the original reason that they started to eat soy in the monasteries, and they noted the estrogenic effects of it. But in order to make sure that it would not harm people, it was eaten in a very traditional way, and that was soaking, sprouting, and fermenting. Okay, if that sounds like Japanese to you, it's basically, you know, you take beans and soak them for very, very long periods of time. It removes some of the problematic proteins from the beans and ferments it, which turns it sour and sticky so that your body can digest it better. And there is a very, very specific reason for this. So soy is a legume, a bean, and it has two proteins in it that cause problems for people. One is called phytic acid, and phytic acid binds to nutrients in your food, both in soy and the foods that you eat it with. So if you eat like a salad with tofu in it, it's also going to bind to the nutrients in your salad. And it makes it so you can't absorb those nutrients, mainly calcium, iron, zinc, okay, these nutrients that are really, really important. So even if your food label says, oh, this has this much soy in it, and you have 40% of your daily value of iron, you may not actually be getting that much iron because you're not absorbing it. All right. And the other problem is lectins. And now what lectins are different proteins found in different foods. For example, gluten is a lectin found in wheat. Okay, so hopefully you can kind of grasp this bigger concept. But there is a lectin in soy called agglutinin. And what this does is it causes red blood cells to bind together. It harms blood flow, and it tears holes in your gut lining. And this is where a bunch of problems happen, because tearing holes in your gut lining obviously doesn't sound comfortable, and it's not. And this occurred with me. It can cause immune imbalances, hormonal imbalances. It can cause allergies, gut dysbiosis, which means that the bacteria in your gut are out of balance. That can lead to constipation, diarrhea. I mean, there's all kinds of problems.
Like
you don't
so
want to deal with it.
Totally want to get in on this.
So, now all of that can be, you can kind of get rid of those problems if, again, you're soaking, sprouting, fermenting, eating natto, which is the fermented form of soy. But let's face it, that doesn't happen here in the States much. And I know, Kimberly, you're really familiar with the way like soy is genetically modified and how it is present in our food here in the States, and they, what they spray it with, and all of that changes how healthy the food is for us. Right. So, and I hope that wasn't like I'm vomiting science, but
it's important to know. And if you guys might not have seen the video that I popped in yesterday, like, I don't know. I mean, the more I learn about this stuff, I don't know if I would say it's fun as in like Disneyland fun, right? But to me, I think there's peace of mind that if you take the time to understand why what it might cause in your body, because I don't know, well, I'm sure you know this firsthand, like one of the most frustrating feelings when it comes to your health. I mean, let's get off this stupid ass, I care what I weigh. Like, let's talk about what really matters, because when you're old and crusty, like, you're really not going to give two poops, right? What you are going to care about the status of your health and what that means for your life. There's nothing I think more frustrating or depressing than having issues with your health, whether it be just gut issues that are inconvenient and definitely affect your mood. Of course, we've all heard the concept that your gut is your second brain. Or something more severe, obviously, like autoimmune disorders or even, cancers, whatever. But to me, I think what can be so frustrating and depressing for people is when you're struggling with your health and you don't know what's going on and why. And I'm certainly not advertising you and I as the end all be all source of everything that might be going on with you. But I think you hit the nail on the head that soy is definitely promoted in the States as this much healthier, alternative. And it's not necessarily untrue, but there's a lot more to it. Yes. It depends where it comes from and how it's made. It also depends on you and your body. There are people that could consume soy and it might have no negative effects whatsoever. And
absolutely.
Then there's the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, there are actually there's studies that show that some people are more sensitive to lectins than others. So if you have a family history of autoimmune disease, of digestive disorders, things like that, you are more likely to have issues with soy than someone who does not. And I know this personally. I know we were talking about this before the recording, but I had low estrogen for years. And I mean, I am a prime example of what you're talking about right now, about how weight and health don't necessarily go hand in hand. I was at a very healthy weight. I was very fit. I mean, I was very like muscular and thin, and people were goo goo gagging, like, oh, how can you look like this? You must be so healthy. But on the inside, I had all kinds of issues: hormonal imbalances, low estrogen, depression, bad digestion, and I weigh more now than I did then, but I've changed my diet in a way that is gut healing. And I can tell you, like, I'd rather have the mental clarity, the good digestion, the energy, just everything that I have now, than weigh a couple pounds less, right?
Totally.
And so I was told, actually, because of my low estrogen, I was told to eat soy, and was consuming it about 2 or 3 times a week. And lo and behold, just a few months later, ta-da, my estrogen levels are up. So there's definitely, I know for me, some truth to the fact that soy is a hormonal disruptor. It does change your hormones.
Right. And unless I think you fall into a specific category where you are really looking to raise your estrogen.
Yeah.
And again, this goes into something else we were talking about though before the recording, which is you always have to weigh both sides. There are things out there that may indeed have some benefits, but if depending on your personal situation, and we'll list off of some of those things that you might want to take into account, you also have to list the potential negatives, and then you have to decide which outweighs what. And to me, if the potential negatives outweigh the positive, then you know where you're going to go. So let's talk maybe a little bit about what are, maybe some, now everybody's going to be different, and we can't like look into your body. Like, we're not that good and know exactly what's going on. But I think there are, a category exists that of people that I would personally recommend really being careful when it comes to soy, right? So obviously we've talked about a couple of those already: autoimmune disorders, gut health issues. What else would you lump into that?
Anyone who falls into the overweight or obese category. A lot of people don't get their hormones tested, but if you have low testosterone, which I've heard anywhere of up 3 out of 4 people are in that category. If your hormones are out of balance at all, I recommend not consuming soy, or at least doing so under the specific instruction of a medical doctor who is telling you that it will benefit your hormones. For most people in America, that's not the case. We have an overabundance of estrogen because of our food supply. If you've been for most years of your life consuming dairy, consuming grain-fed beef, consuming factory-farmed meats in general, you have an oversupply of what's called exogenous estrogen, or estrogen that you're consuming from outside of your body, that your body is not making it on its own. And that free-flowing estrogen has been linked to things like cancer. It's just something that you don't want in your body.
Right.
You want your body to make your hormones. You want your body to make your hormones in a way that comes naturally from within, because it is healthy, because it has the nutrients it needs, and not because, it's getting all of these crazy signals from eating food that's full of hormones that it doesn't know what to do with, because it's not going to use those in an appropriate manner.
Yeah. Right. And the more out of balance those hormones get, the more rampant other issues or
get.
potential
Absolutely.
issues. Right. And of course, like, don't get offended, ladies, if this is you, because look, I'm getting up there now. The older we get, and if you especially are in that perimenopausal or menopausal state, obviously seeking hormone balance is like super important for a good quality of life, and very, very possible. And I know as a parent, I can tell you that, I have significantly changed what I'm giving my daughters, and very, very mindful of the foods and what they're drinking and consuming from a hormonal level. And I personally believe, now don't ask me for like research on this off the top of my head, but I do believe that if you look at the uprise of our girls going through puberty at such a faster rate, I 100% believe that it is
Oh
linked
yeah.
to the foods, that they're consuming. So, when we give you this information, again, like I am not interested in creating a fear mongering type of
Mm-hmm.
community. But again, it's once you have the knowledge, that is your potential power, depending on how you would like to use it. I, for one, because in general, when I talk to some people and they say, well, you can't control everything and we're all going to die one
Yeah.
day. And like, obviously, I'm really not on the misunderstanding that I am a vampire and I will live forever. But my belief system is that I'm going to do everything that I can control
Mm-hmm.
to give myself the best possible shot at feeling my best, avoiding any and all issues that I can avoid. So, I mean, unless you are like magically in love with soy products, to me, there's alternatives for pretty much anything you think that is, giving you.
Yeah.
And I can tell you too, like I had mentioned before I had my first daughter, I was, vegetarian for 6-7 years, and I absolutely used soy and tofu, um, and fake meat and all those types of things, thinking I was killing it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so let's see. Anything else that we think that is like super important to know in this category, at least?
For soy,
Soy, yo, yo.
there's so much I could talk about, but it would just take forever.
We need to have
And you know,
a
as far
podcast called
yeah,
Soy Yo, and we'll just talk
so,
about like soy all day.
I know, but there's so many other great topics to talk about too.
Yes.
But you bring up a good point as far as alternatives, because I feel you. I love soy products. I'm one of those weirdos that thinks tofu tastes good.
I used to love tofu because
Yeah.
essentially it would take on whatever the flavor of, and
Yeah.
I love to like mix it into
Yeah.
stuff and into
Yeah.
salads and
Yeah. And I mean, let's be realistic here. Like, if you're eating soy like in very minimal amounts, and I'm talking, okay, let's rephrase that. Non-GMO organic soy, okay, because the GMOs and the Roundup has a whole other host of issues. But if you're eating non-GMO organic soy like a cup 2 times a month, you're not going to see a negative effect on your estrogen. Okay, like let's be completely honest. It's not that terrible. Now, if you have an autoimmune disease or you have gut issues, I would not recommend that either. And trust me, I know that from personal experience. It helped my estrogen, but it flared up my autoimmune disease. Like,
what people need to, I think,
business.
truly understand too, and you can obviously speak on this from personal experience even more so than me. My understanding is that especially when you're dealing with gut health issues, it's a patient long road to truly heal it. And the issue is that with certain things that we think, oh, moderation, everything in moderation. Well, that changes in your definition of moderation. But when you have a gut health issue, there are certain things that once you're starting to heal it, but yet it's still very sensitive, can come in there and can really set back your progress, even in one serving or one dose, right?
Yes,
so that's
absolutely.
the thing to consider.
Yeah, I'm living proof of that, and it's frustrating. It is very frustrating at times, But one dose of a bite of gluten. I mean, this people don't really understand, but like the amount in a speck of gluten, like this big, a crumb, is enough to set back gut healing for someone with an autoimmune disease for 30 days. Okay, it is not like, and again, I'm not trying to fear monger here, but like if you have a sensitive issue like that, you need to be patient and you need to be strict with your diet for a period of time. And there are several things that are absolute no's: gluten, dairy, sugar, soy would probably be up there too. Those are things that you just want to keep out of your diet,
Alcohol.
at least for alcohol. And I mean, there are different issues with that too, but like it's just something that you want to stay away from, and but I mean, as far as like like I've seen like the soy spaghetti out there, right? Like it's tasty. They also have one that's made with green beans. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's really
No.
cool.
And it's already
Yeah,
done for you? I like things that are done for me ahead of time.
it's done. So you can actually, I found it at like Marshalls and Home Goods. You know how sometimes they have healthy food in the aisles?
How random is that?
But it's the only ingredient is green beans. I wonder
if you could find that on Thrive.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's high in fiber. It's high in protein. It's made only with vegetables.
Like me and green beans are best friends.
And the texture is fantastic. I think it tastes way better than other gluten-free spaghetti. So you're not stuck like you can't ever enjoy things that are similar, right? But it's, thankfully we live in a day and age now where there's so many options.
Yes.
So they're out there. And if anybody wants help finding a different option, I am like an encyclopedia of food options because of my gut health issues. So I would be more than happy to help anyone find resources.
You need to make a book, Me and My Gut, and you can just have all of your resources and recipes. I'm saying I would buy it.
Thanks. Nobody wants to meet my gut. Nobody.
But I've never experienced it, but I've had so many clients with gut health issues and either unaware that was the issue or whatever. And it is really no fun. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been like, when I was younger, I didn't have any of these issues. I was like, if you ever meet those people who can like eat anything, like who will sit and like down a jar of jalapenos and look at you and be like, what? Like that was me. Okay. I mean, I was like, anything and everything. Nothing bothered my stomach. The iron stomach is what my family called me. And like all of a sudden one day it just boom changed and everything was different. And that was frustrating for me. Very, very frustrating.
Sure.
And I spent years trying all different kinds of things to fix it. I have healed my gut. I spent about 3 months following a strict autoimmune diet, and I felt incredible. I didn't have any gut issues at all. So I know it can be done, but again, it requires patience. It requires exploration, of being knowledgeable that if you go off the beaten path, like I did, that there are consequences and that you have to come back to it, and knowing what limit is right for you. What can you not stand, right? What is too much for your brain and your body to be able to handle, and finding that line is good, because then you can live in that place, that we're focusing on this month, which is the 80-20. Like, but your 80-20 might be different than the person's.
Yeah. And I really want everybody to hear that and understand that again, like everybody's 80-20 is different. And I mean, and this is, less physically invasive, but like, I know for me, for example, if I go to a Mexican restaurant, I cannot have just a few chips. I will have the whole basket and then the refill. And then I will take their chips next to me that, when they're not looking, I'll be like, look over there. I just don't start, and that's obviously, it's not necessarily a physical response that I would have, but I just know, versus I can have a cookie and I don't need to have the entire box of cookies. But yeah, you have to navigate those 80-20 choices based on your physical needs and the ramifications, the mental and emotional issues that you very well may be dealing with. And clearly, as we kind of wrap this up, with food in our body, that is a deep, multi-layered thing for a lot of us, and all of us have different stories and histories, and we're here to help guide you as much as possible and give you support and a roadmap. But I also want to make it clear that if there are some deeper underlying issues, we are not, at least I'll say, I don't feel that is my lane. Meaning that's not my area. And listen to what you need mentally. If you need to go in and you need to talk to somebody in a therapist, way, I've always been a huge advocate for taking away the stigma and the shame when it comes to mental health and therapy. I just saw my therapist today, y'all, that, our body and food and our relation to that a lot of times there may be some underlying things there from your childhood or whatever it is. And if you feel that's true with you and you feel like you keep going into a cycle again and again, you might want to, if you haven't yet, look for outside, help. It's well worth it for sure. Right. And I know that is an area that you've worked in as well.
It is. Yeah. I've done, and I'll try to keep this as quick as possible, but I mean, I did, I have a master's degree in psychology, and I did do an internship at a medical hospital in the psych department. And I can tell you from that and from the hundreds of clients I have coached over the years in nutrition, every single person has a food shtick. And ironically, I was dealing with a major one when I was doing my internship, and my professor, who was counseling me at the time, told me that same thing. She said, everyone has a food shtick, Arielle. Everyone.
I think that's kind of
yeah, well, she was from Boston.
I love it.
You're not the only one. And, whether it's we eat too little, we eat too much, we get too emotional, we get too stressed. We have some emotional issue with food. And if you aren't addressing it, you're not going to get to the foundational issues surrounding your diet and what your relationship with your food is going to look like for the rest of your life. And that, I think, is the most crucial thing.
Amen. Yeah, because then what you're doing essentially is you're attacking the symptoms, but you're not treating the cause. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I feel like this has been really helpful for me. I don't know about the people watching this, but this was great for me. But again, like I mentioned at the top of the video, if this has spurred some questions or some curiosity, whether it's on soy or ingredients or anything that we've mentioned, or shoot, it could be completely unrelated. I don't know. Just leave a comment at the end of the video. We love to be able to know what your needs are and what your questions are, because I think I can speak for both of us when I say, like, our hearts are in this business because we really do want to help, and many times pay it forward because somebody has, helped us. And it really is not just about follow this food plan and exercise more. You have to say it in that voice. So don't ever hesitate to reach out, ask a question. There's no stupid questions. There's nothing in this area that you should just know or have figured out or have fixed by now, right?
Yeah.
Word. All right. I think this was amazing. You guys are welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
Please.
Give me a step.